See if this is good. Looks like I'm good on YouTube. All right. And phone sound check. All right. Looks like I'm echoing. I wonder if I cut one off. I'm gonna cut one off and see if I'm not echoing anymore. If I cut one off. I'm gonna cut one off and see if I'm not echoing. That sounds good. Yo, yo, what's going on out there? Let me know y'all in here. Say what's up, what's good. Maybe y'all at work. It looks like cutting one of them off stopped the echo, so it looks like I'm good now. I'm just using my phone to test. Yes, sir. So some of y'all might have, so I was running a test with my StreamYard yesterday, and I think it made it seem like I was going live yesterday. So sorry about that if anybody thought I was going live last night or the night before. I'm actually setting up a live stream capability for somebody, and I was running a test, and I didn't know that it set up a scheduled live stream basically. So, but yeah, since I'm threw up this really quick, my schedule is kind of rocky right now, at least till the beginning of August. So I just happen to have time to go live today, so I figured I'd jump in. Spend a little bit, say what's up to the peoples, talk to y'all a little bit. The real Carly Green is in the building. What it be like? And I guess for some people they'll catch this live stream later if they need to, or more people will come in. They might be leaving from work because everyone's got the generic 9 to 5 or whatever. But yeah, make sure when you come in you say what's up. Let me know what's good so I know who's in here. So yeah, we're about, what was that, the 10th? We're about a week and a half out from the American Healer event, which was good times hanging with peoples, hanging with the family. So I know for everybody that I was expecting to see there, I got to chat with everybody either during or before that. Yo, yo. But yeah, it was definitely good and fun times being up there. Since I got back, I'm really busy this month, so I wasn't able to throw something together and put it up as much as I want. For those of you who need some content to look at from the event, make sure you swing over to Dr. Inky's page over on Patreon, because there is the American Healer preview is up. So I have a small snippet from that page. It's not going to be any sound, but it's just from the little bit of the workout portion that we did, just that specific part, or at least some of it anyway. But yeah, wanted to bring that part up. But other than that, the event itself was great. It's definitely interesting because we had someone from the local community there, and they brought a little bit of the drama. So that was pretty interesting being up there. You can't have a great event without somebody bringing a little bit of the drama surrounding not the event itself, but what was happening before the event, like the day before the event. We had somebody from the local neighborhood come in who was throwing shade, and it was great watching the conversation happen and how that whole thing was handled and everything. So that was cool. What you got, Grove the Wizard? You got what do they call it? Endometriosis? Got them kind of symptoms going on. But the question you asked is pretty generic. That's actually long-winded. We'll probably have to have a separate conversation about that, because when you say how do you cure autoimmune disease, most things are not cured, they are reversed. So cure insinuates that somebody has the ability to knock something out and it will not come back. Like there are no traces of that thing coming back. That's cured. But if you're talking about reversing something, healing from something, well, it all depends. got to have detailed information regarding the situation. We got to go over like history, how you came down with it, all the different things you've been going through, things you've tried. Are you on any medications? It's pretty long-winded when you talk about autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease in general is just falling out of balance. Something falls out of balance. Like people with bipolar disorder, they get hit with so much of a traumatic stress or chronic stress for too long. It creates an imbalance in their body, and their body creates its own defense to kind of keep itself going. Because for some people, the defense might be heavy amounts of depression. So in the case of bipolar disorder, you might have a person who's actually depressed, but their body is presenting symptoms of heroism. Like they're trying to be like a hero, they're in such a situation of helplessness, they become the opposite, which is the hero. There's different situations, but I'm just giving an example. Or you can have, I think lupus falls under autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune, certain types of allergies, autoimmune, because autoimmunes are sometimes like extreme allergies. Yeah, it's going to be. Hit me up on my Instagram. Go to same as this channel, Marvin Health and Arts. Hit me up there, and let's see what we can rap about. Yeah, Inky is not on YouTube. He may do interviews on YouTube where you'll see him, but he's on Patreon now. So you'll have to go over to Patreon. I tend to type in melanin versus diabetes, right? When I type in that on Patreon, that's how I get to the channel, but there's also drinky.com at Patreon, but you can just type in Dr. Inky is usually what I do, but I do melanin versus diabetes comes up easily for me. And I'll swing over to the website so you can kind of see what it looks like at a certain point. Bugatti in the building. Yeah, you in the building. That's all right. It's a lot of people that I know who couldn't make the event, but we still had squad in the event. So we were good in terms of that, like, making it do what it do. We definitely make it do what it do. Peace to the family. Tyreek in the building. Smacknificent beats. What it be like? Kenneth Williams in the building. Carly as and Grove the Wizard. Looking for that sweet reversal, right? Coming in here with the heavy-handed questions in the building. But yes, got a few photos I'm going to glide through. First things foremost, it's funny because I got this kind of doubled the way it looks on screen, but what you're seeing inside the black square there, that's the actual venue. I'm using that as my background right now, but that's the venue from up top looking towards the actual stage. So figured I've shown a bunch of shots of that, and then let's just switch to the next one because it's like you're seeing a continual on the screen right now, right? So it was also Chase Million's birthday, right? The day before the event, so the 9th, it was Chase Million's birthday. So we was hanging out later on that night. We was out in front of the theater. We took a couple of pictures. We was on the rush looking for some food because we out doing what we do, right? We had plenty of, thanks to Rob Scott, I believe it is Rob, the councilman down there. We hung out. All of our hangouts were pretty much in his smoothie bar at PK Blends. So that's what's up. We had plenty of smoothies. I had one of his fruit bowls. But the smoothies, the juice was well balanced, excellent. It was definitely hitting. So go to PK Blends smoothie juice bar if you ever take a trip over to Peekskill, New York. Especially those who are in the New York area, come up there and say what's up to them. Let them know, you checked out, you down with Dr. Inky and everything that they got going on in the town. So it's good to go check in, right? Who else? Freddie Dahl in the building was good. He went from jumping and running every day and playing basketball in the month of May, but now in the whole June and July, I've been struggling with these pains and instability on knees. Yeah, it's going to be some background with that. That's a pretty quick, from the way you made it sound, it's a pretty quick jump from one thing to the other in a short period of time, but there's always more behind it. There's always some trigger, something, right? Again, you're asking a very long-winded question. So the question is, can you explain about the pigment inside our blood cells of how it interacts with anthocyanins, beta-carotene, and chlorophyll? So you're talking about So if you're talking about how to pigment in our blood cells, you're talking about melanated pigment, which keep in mind when you're talking about melanin, you're talking about the pigment that has the intelligence to interact with multiple, multiple vibrations of radiation. That's what you're talking about, because whether we're receiving sound, touch, taste, all those different things are things vibrating against one another and things in our environment vibrating that our eyes are picking up. And so melanin has the ability to interact with those different vibrations, because vibration is friction. Friction creates heat. Heat is a form of radiation. So that's the connection between all of them. So when you have radiation going throughout the atmosphere and your body's interacting with it, it obviously has to have the ability to interact with the frequencies and to be able to transduce them and create information out of them. Okay? Because what is light? Again, light, something is vibrating. It's vibrating at such a high level, it's putting out frequencies, but the vibration's so high, it's producing energy, it's producing light, it's disturbing the medium so much, right? So we're always gathering light from all the different vibrations. So whether you talk about chlorophyll, you talk about anthocyanins, canthaxanthin, zeaxanthin, beta carotene, lutein, regardless of what you're talking about, brown, gray, white if you're talking about brightness, black if you're talking about saturation, is the proof of colors being combined into one. And because melanin is that thing, that means if it's combined into one, that means it is the intelligence of all things combined. So therefore, if pieces of what would be considered brown or black frequencies come in, then it already has the intelligence to say, I'm familiar with this. So the question then becomes, how amplified is the vibration coming in? You know, the difference between infrared, gamma, ultraviolet, those are different strengths. The smaller the space, the higher the capacitance, right? So the vibration can be so strong, it can wear out those melanin centers much faster, which means your ability to repair has to be faster. So just having the melanin is one thing. That means we have the ability to interact. But then there's the thing with how much, how long, which has to do with how active your melanocytes is, hence making you darker, and also the ability to absorb more before breaking down. So the different pigments go into different parts of the body to interact with different things. So when you say chlorophyll, you're talking about magnesium being the central culprit. If we're talking about melanin, we're talking about sodium. And if we're talking about heme, we're talking about iron. So it's all about what's in the center of the molecule, or what makes that specific sensor or body part respond well because it's receiving the proper nutrition. So you might hear like the orange color in carrots help improve the eye because of the retinols, right? So because retinol, if you study the eye, you'll find that there's retinoids kind of throughout that system. So therefore, if you receive that frequency from food or that frequency from the environment, like staring at orange versus eating orange, then you get that reaction that assists your body. So it's the different pigments, different parts of the body, depending on what they give off. Magnesium's a really big deal, so chlorophyll is always going to be a big deal. We're talking about greening, because, mag ATP, magnesium to help you relax, calcium to help you contract, it just gets deeper and deeper, right? But yeah, so let's go, right? Let's talk about some American Healer before I sidebar a little too hard. But yeah, we got the doc hanging out with the boys downtown for Chase Million's birthday. Did a little bit of photo shooting. That's funny. You can see like my umbrella was on the street. I had like a nice light out there. But yeah, other stuff. These are just small moments of me, being silly, hanging out with people. This was at PK Blend's Juice Bar, over there doing some silly karate poses with the doc or whatever. But yeah, what else we got? What else was we doing there? I forgot her name. I knew it like it's funny, but when I was putting this up, I remembered it, and someone in the chat might remember. But yeah, I forgot her name. But yeah, she was in there. She was at the documentary with us, hanging out. I believe her and her mom was there. But yeah, she was in there spicing it up a little bit. She throwing the deuces up real quick. We acting silly with it. D'Antonio, I believe it is. Met him while we were there, so we did a quick flex pose or whatever, acting silly in there. So that's a short amount of photos of just me being silly, hanging out with the peoples at the event. It's not an extensive photo album, obviously, because I want to wait for the doc to release American Healer over on Patreon. I believe the release date will be August 1st. But again, if you guys follow over on Patreon, then the preview is already prepared, so you can check it out there. Guys, let me know, of course, in the chat whether or not, I know I have music playing. Let me know that the music is not combating with me, because the only way I can hear it is if I throw my headphones on. But I obviously, because I'm not playing it straight through my speakers, I can't hear it the way you do. So just let me know, make sure that the music is not combating with me talking and that it's at a decent volume. You know, y'all could just say music is cool, voice is cool. You know, let me know. Make sure that the volume is good here. But yeah, appreciate everybody who came out that I got to see at the event. Appreciate everyone who supported the event. I obviously do what I do. I'm kind of thanking you guys on behalf of the doctor. But I was out there doing what I do, cameras, you know, all that stuff like that, doing what I do. Just having my fun with my cameras and hanging out with the family. That's what I do. It's all good. Thanks. All right, let's switch gears here a little bit. Let's see a little bit of fun we was having Monday morning before we rolled out from the location. Let's get the chuck the PowerPoint. Yeah, I mean, so I'm gonna play a little bit and I'll just talk over it because it's not there's no volume. I don't want anything to like get my video cut for copyrights, because the doc will use his music, and without the copyrights it will get cut, so I don't want it to get cut. So there won't be any sound in it. But you'll kind of see the things we were doing. So what I'm about to show you guys is we were hanging out Monday before we left at one of the gyms in a location close to the hotel we were staying at. And we was just having a little fun in the gym. So the doc decided to do some recording, him training us, doing a little something over in the gym. So let's rock a little bit of that and I'll talk over it a little bit. And this is coming from, like I said, you guys can get this on Patreon, because this is where you can see most of the stuff at. So, man, I cannot remember the name of the gym. Jeff, would it be like, see in the building? Can't remember the name of the gym we were in, but the gym was like a long hallway. Like, I was kind of surprised. Like, when you guys see the building next to the hotel, you think that whole building is a gym. So you think you about to walk into like Gold's Gym or something. But no, it's a nice little quaint joint. They had everything you needed. Like, I didn't have any issues seeing things that I needed to really get ripped. Their loose weights went up to like 125. Loose weights meaning the dumbbells. Of course, they have free bars and stuff. This is Derek. Derek is in there. So we all went. It was me, the doc, Chase, and Derek. We was in there having some fun in the gym. He was doing the calisthenics thing heavy, like showing like body control, different things you can do. I was in there pretty much just showing strength, because a lot of people I train, it just puts me in front of a bunch of people who lift real heavy. So this is us just pretty much having fun. And you see Derek doing what it do, right? Like, like that's bold right there. You going to try and do a handstand on them flimsy pads like that? That's bold. All right, then me doing some V-sits. The doc making my abs hurt a little bit by making me crunch, you know, step on the gas pedal in the driver's seat. So, but yeah, we was rocking out. We was having a lot of fun. Like I said, most of the stuff I do gonna be strength based, and you're gonna see Derek doing a lot of stuff that's like body control based, which is still strength, but it's a lot of body control, balance, coordination, all those different things, and that's what makes like a really good team. I'm gonna probably be down in Atlanta area soon, probably in August. So any of y'all in the Atlanta area, drop me a message over on Instagram, because I might be near you. I know Derek's up in the North Carolina area, so I might even take a trip and go see him and hang out with him while I'm down there. Since I'm gonna be there 3 weeks, why not, right? So so keep in mind, if y'all been hanging out with me here on the live chat and stuff like that, and y'all get at me over on Instagram, and y'all let me know where y'all at. When I'm in your area, I might look to say, hey, what's good? You know, find a place to hang out. Y'all can show me the area. Where's the vegan spots, the juice spots, the gyms, the playgrounds, where all the cool stuff is, where we can hang out. Probably make some videos and act stupid real quick so we can show the family when we get done. But yeah, you know, we got to do that. We create that extended family experience, right? Yeah, this just us being a little creative with the joint. But this was hot though. This was hot. So I'm gonna let it play out, right? The doc showing off some calf action. Chase in the background. Yeah. Body control. Give y'all a chance to see what it's like when y'all elevate your calisthenics game, get the muscles popping, right? You see the type of different things you can do. But yeah, like I said, you see the rig they got in here. This is like one section of the gym. Like I said, it's like a hallway. You can see behind them. It's mostly GMO and seedless. But there's always some hidden gems, man. You got to be the one to find them in your area. Or at least connect with the people who might know. I'm pretty sure down in Atlanta, they got people who grow stuff in the outskirts. So there's got to be something around there. But yeah, over here in like in the close to the Philadelphia area, the Whole Foods is going to be seedless all day. But they got something called Sprouts out here. It's not seedless there. So yeah, you just gotta, you're the person in your location. You gotta put in the work, see what you can find, do the best you can. That's the era we live in. We got a lot that happened in our era, but doing the best you can is what you got. We're at the height, if you ask me, of all that has been. We're watching this whole taint nature thing happen. Like, we're in that generation. So we're the ones who have to keep records of the proper information. Big up and support the people who are doing things better. Just keep your mind positive towards everything we need. And you'll watch, once you have a comfort in what's going on in your neighborhood and what you expect to see change, like things for the better, keep your mind stayed on positive. Stay peaceful, right? You got to know you're going to hang at the gym. You're going to find the people who know where the hidden gems are. Keep it positive, and things in your environment just start to change, and then you become that person, right? See the cherries, baby. Y'all ever bite into one of those and forget to remove the seed? You be mad as hell. Them Jones will break your teeth. So yeah, we're getting on to the hack squat. Not the same as the deadlift. For those of you who follow me here on YouTube, you've probably seen the reel that I did where I deadlifted 535. So at this point, we're kind of messing with the hack squat bar to see if we just gonna go to 5 plates. So yeah, this was fun. Of course, the doc made it so that it was like, all right, let's consecutively keep going. No, like no break when the weight get heavy. Just keep on rocking. But that's all right. We made it do what it do, right? And like I said, the plates they had, they're cool. The driving steering wheel kind of shaped plates. Those are pretty cool. But this is my first time using a hack squat joint. It's not the same. Like, you notice you're not getting as low to the ground, and the weight is even with your body. So you're doing like half deadlift, half squat, so to speak. So it's going to be like, how good is your grip at the mid range from standing up? So that's pretty much what it is. So we on 4 plates. At any given time, I can tell y'all, if y'all ever meet me in real life, at any given time, you can stack the 4 plates and the deadlift is happening. So I'll give you 4 plates at any moment. We got to do a session if we're gonna go up to 5 plates and beyond. And I would definitely say have some chalk around. See, so now we're going from 4. We incrementing up, because when you get close to your max, you want to start incrementing up. Right? Google Me is in the building. What's going on? Z is in the building. Z was up there. Z, what it do? Z was in the building up there. I should have put Z's photo up on the joint, but we'll have more as time goes on. I'm waiting until it gets when the doc releases the stream of over on Patreon, until he releases American Healer like officially on Patreon, so everybody can see it. So yeah, look at that pickup. So that right there, that was 520, because that hack squat bar is 60 pounds. So now we messing with the weights, we warming up, right? Derek getting jiggy with it. I don't even remember seeing it. I was over there setting up the dumbbells. But yeah, this was fun. Like, yo, I'm pretty sure anytime we find a gym there, anywhere that we go, for all my gym peoples, we're gonna definitely rock out in the gym, because it was definitely fun hanging out. We was probably in this gym for like 45 minutes to an hour, like just acting silly, messing with stuff. Even the owner was cool. And for those who economically is looking to support black-owned businesses, the gym was owned by an African-American guy, trying to do his thing out there in Peekskill. So for those looking to support, if you're out in that area, yep, go ahead and make it do what it do. So yeah, we pressing them 80s. And again, gyms got to have 2 things, like, especially if I'm training people, I prefer my gyms to have like very high dumbbell weight, And I also prefer them to have a loose bar. Planet Fitness does not have a loose bench press bar or deadlift bar or whatever, unfortunately. So that's what makes it so that I'm not a fan of going there. They got too many, like a lot of Smith machines. It's literally for beginners. They didn't build that gym, you know, for people who are really trying to get it, even though you can. They build it for people who are just self-conscious about working out in the gym. They just want to be comfortable. So that's why noise is a big deal there, and they don't really have, like, you know, basically muscle man type equipment. So yeah, we getting them hundreds, baby. Get them hundreds cracking. Got to lift the head up so we get more stretch on the chest. Get the more stretch on the pectorals. You got to do it. Come on, lift it. Go big. So yeah, so it's good that it was me, the Doc, and Derek in there, because you get to see the different body shapes and the different things they do. So you don't have to be the guy lifting the ultra heavy weight. You don't have to be the guy that's like doing a pull up to the point where he's standing on top of the bar. You get to choose. You get to live within the middle if you want to. You know, do whatever it is you feel you have to do for your body type and the shape that you want to be in. Obviously, if you're going to be towards the heavier side like I do, then you need to eat a little more. I'm obviously working out with a lot of guys who are lifting a lot of weight. So you can imagine my diet is clearly not 100% vegan. Because sometimes there's like, with the amount of energy that I'm putting out at one time, there's going to be turkey every now and then. There's not going to really be any red meat, not any real like beef, or there's not going to be any pork or, you know, something like that. But you might see some chicken, fish. You might see those things every once in a while I'm working out. So yeah, I know, I get it, but yeah, depending on how beefy you try to go and how much energy you putting out, then yeah. But can you do it strictly vegan? Like majority of the weight I got in college before I knew anything about being vegan. I didn't have the dietary stuff or anything like that. I didn't have any of that stuff when I first started. So that's where a lot of my size came from in college. After that, when I got sick, that was when I started learning, and I utilized what little knowledge I had about being vegan, and I maintained my size being vegan. Like, so I know how to maintain my size being vegan. Yeah, see that? Making it do what it do. We messing around in the trees, right? There was a park across the street from our hotel that we were hanging out in on the last day. So, yeah, man. Good times hanging up there. I mean, got to bang out a pull-up on the way down. Get the V hang going. Not the V sit, the V hang. I wonder, I'm going to wait and see. No, it's not in this reel, I don't think. We got a reel where we were doing, for those of y'all who, in the calisthenics crew, there was a reel where we banged out the 60 and 60. He did an extended V-sit, Derek did, and I did banged out a 60 push-ups in 60 seconds real quick with Chase and Caleb. So that was good times. But now I'm gonna pause here, because you're talking about like over 3 hours worth of previews and other information over on Patreon. I just wanted to show you guys a little fun there. I'm not going to play any more from here, but yeah, just wanted you guys to be able to see that, the fun that we were having. So definitely good times. But yeah, so hopefully, because you know we're just going to keep planning more and more events, so hopefully you guys will be able to make them. I think we're starting to eyeball Maryland. What's that on my screen? I don't know if that'll pop up, but whatever. But yeah, hopefully if we do something else, the next event, I'll probably see if I can help the doc arrange the next one, where I'll see if I can get it so there's like hotel discounts and travel discounts for, like, you know, bulk people traveling and stuff like that, and try and have something that's because in this case it was literally 2 days technically. So there was the meet and greet that was on Saturday, the actual event on Sunday, plus the hangout afterward. So, you know, there was still a little bit more to this event for those who stuck around. But the next event, I'll try and see if we can make it so that we can have like multiple things going on a couple days, give you guys a reason to come down and stay. and try and make the travel arrangements a little bit more smooth for those who are coming from like remote areas. Because for some people, trying to figure out the travel situation was rough. For me, I'm down in the Philly area. 3-hour drive is nothing. I do that on a regular basis, so it wasn't much of an issue to me. Emmanuel Briggs is in the building. Let me see. Do I think it's better to lift in high ultraviolet and infrared or inside? The word, when you say inside, no. Unless you use an infrared sauna. Like this microphone probably emits in the infrared range, but it is not an infrared heat lamp. So the heat lets you know you're getting radiation from it, but it has to be in the infrared range, and I believe the nanometers is 810 to 830. You can search online for infrared heat lamps, but they're probably going to run you $700 to $800 maybe. Last time I looked. But if you can create a makeshift in your bathroom. If you get like a infrared heat lamp, put it in your bathroom, get that hooked in, whatever construction thing you need to do to make it safe, obviously. Then you can get like find a way to like seal off the bathroom, turn the shower on. You can get some steam going in there. So if you have the ability to sweat and receive infrared light, you're talking about the capability for your cells to start having the information from the infrared light to put themselves back together. Infrared light is huge when it comes to healing. Mother to child, that's an infrared connection. The heat from your body, that's an infrared connection. Something kind of like infrared, grounding. Grounding pulls inflammation out of the body, and then that allows the body to calm and start putting itself back together. So grounding is a part of that. Infrared is huge. Ultraviolet light, though, don't know if I can say I got anything that gets down with doing that specifically. Now, I can't say so, but see what else we got. What else y'all got for me while we in here? So for this kind of trip, the theater was nice. The sound system was good if you were there. But they had like a microphone and they had like a PA system kind of thing. So it boomed a lot. So you could hear well when you were there. Certain things that I had recording, you can hear, but it's loud, but it's not as smooth and crispy as it can be. Also, I think when the doc creates the documentary, I'll probably message him about this, but hopefully he drops the slides in on top, because we're in a theater. So the lights up top, the projection screen was so big that some of the stuff at the very top of the slides was covered up. So he read it out, so it's not really a big deal there. He read out what was on the slide, but hopefully when he makes a documentary, he can drop the slides in for the ones where you need to know that information. For those who were there, of course, you have a jump start on healing information with when it comes to diabetes. So, of course, that's information I'm not talking about yet. Like I said, you got to tune into Patreon, especially come August 1st when the doc puts out American Healer, so you guys can see all the new science and information and stuff that he's presenting. But we're going to wait on that. You'll have to burn a little bit if you were not there. Other than that, yes, you'll find out in the documentary. I have a part in the documentary. My goal, when I explained a little bit of what I went through when it came to diabetes. And I also gave you guys probably the most basic and succinct explanation about diabetes and the goal when you're trying to reverse diabetes you can get. So you'll probably see a nice portion of that in the preview, and of course the entire thing when the actual documentary comes out. So again, I recommend you guys jump in. Patreon. Let's see, do I have... Let's see if I can pull... Let me check something, family. Let me see if I can pull it so y'all can see different levels. Clicky, clicky here. Back. See if I can get the actual, not that one. Let me just type in the page. 1 second, family. Here we go. To the page. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sign out. And I think it'll show better if I sign out, because then it'll show what you guys will actually see when you go to the actual page. There we go. All right, one more second. Melanin versus diabetes. If y'all got any questions while I'm doing this too, feel free to drop something in the chat. All right, let's see if we can get this up here. That out. There we go. Websites. There we go. Bring that down so y'all can see it a little bit better. Lock that up. All right. So, right, you go up here, see where it says find a creator up top. Usually when y'all go straight to Patreon, that'll be right there. And I usually type in just melanin versus diabetes, and you'll see this logo, this circular black and white logo pop up. And then you can scroll down and there's the different levels. So as it stands, the preview is on the $40 a month level. All right, so you guys can hop on right there. Check it out. Like I said, it's about the doc has put up over 3 hours worth of content for you to be able to see that. It's a preview, but you can tell with over 3 hours worth of content, you got a lot more data there. So you definitely check in to Melanin versus Diabetes on Patreon and check that out. All right. Let me see. Yeah, the reason you asked about the ultraviolet is because I thought through the Inky cycle you could absorb UV and UVA and B and mechanical and longitudinal waves and convert it into electricity. That is true, but when you say ultraviolet and you use the word inside, that's different. If you say use ultraviolet like direct, then you're talking about through the sun. Now remember, ultraviolet A, that is enough to make your skin start to get darker, to wake up your melanocytes. The vitamin B is converted to it's called the malevolente pathway, I believe, and it's where cholesterol, calcium, UVB is used to help produce things like testosterone, vitamin D, which in turn eventually helps create hormones and hormones and melanin activity and things like that. So you need the ultraviolet rays because your biochemistry is built based on it, hence the skin, right? Your body assumes that your biology comes from a warmer climate. So you're born with a certain amount of melanin in your skin to be able to interact with it. And because you're from that warm climate, you're able to take the ultraviolet rays that come from being down in the the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn, down in that equatorial belt. You can absorb those UV rays and convert it to the amount of vitamin D that your body needs within whatever your genetic structure dictates you came from. So when you have darker skin, your body tends to produce more cholesterol because it assumes it's going to get ultraviolet rays to produce more vitamin D, to produce more hormones, to be able to get the melanin active, so you can transduce more of those rays and convert it into energy, so you can, push it back out. Because the body has a threshold of energy that it needs to maintain what we call homeostasis. So whatever you receive, you want to be able to radiate back out any excess. If not, then what you can also do is, if you have a body that does more work, you require more energy to do more work. So when you start to develop more muscle, then the energy converted eventually becomes energy useful to you. And don't forget, water is a high requirement of that, because if you want an electrical charge to move fast, it moves faster in water. Same with sound. So sound becomes light, right? Moon rocker in the building. Yep. Do I ever think we'll be able to enhance the molecular structure naturally of eumelanin pigment to enhance lighter skin tones and jet black hue, or will we have to knock out genes through mix? I'll tell you what I see based on the way nature works. Nature works through diversity. Our body has a survival instinct. Not completely like parasites, because parasites are like, it's all about me regardless of where I'm at. It's all about survival. There's levels to that. You do what you need to do to feed your family so they survive. Bacteria, little microbes in our body, they do what they need to do for our body to help our body continue to live. We do, or at least we're supposed to do what we need to do to help the earth continue. The earth does what it needs to do with the things within it concerning climate and all that stuff like that to keep itself continuing. When these things collide and we're not conscious of how they collide, we're in the way, basically. So it starts to look like war. It looks like a thing is getting rid of you or eating you or doing this and that, when really wisdom, consciousness allows us to move out of the way so people can do what they do. And the ability to use mathematics and calculation allows us to keep things at a balanced point. Now, I'm naturally a Libra. I learned these things later on, but they just make sense, right? Like, I'm a Libra. I'm left-handed, so I'm an artist, but I like balance. Like, you get all these different things that seem to somehow make sense. But the earth works in balance. You have melanated people, warm climates and hot climates, non-melanated and partially and then very pale melanated people for colder climates and mixed climates. What I'm basically saying, if you look at the insects, the animals, the people, the weather patterns, it's all about balance. The issue is, if everyone becomes the same thing, then no one is special. Diversity makes things special and move and constantly moving. So, if the earth freezes over, there's a high probability a cold climate person can survive it, or one who is wise and smart enough to understand how to survive in cold climate who may be melanated, right? There's diversity of thought, action, and then there's actual genetic diversity. Warm climate people can absorb more rays, so if the earth gets really hot, then those people will be the first in line to be seen as the survivors of it all. So that's just the way of the human species and animal species surviving. That's what differences and diversity are for. If it all goes to hell, who has the skill to survive? Because at that point, the race and all that stuff like that don't matter anymore when you're talking like galactic and universal and all that stuff. That's when diversity of species actually matters. So you have to understand where you're special, and other people have to understand where they're special. It's not about one person trying to exalt themselves over others, because when you do that, that seems more like psychological damage on your part. You're so psychologically damaged, you have to convince yourself you're better than someone else instead of just recognizing what's special about you. And in the case of Black and African American people and people who are melanated in general, so much has happened over history where someone got over on everybody that we're so busy trying to figure out how to convince ourselves we're better than someone else. We're not just understanding that now we're conscious and smart enough to know that we're special in a certain way. And it is our job to create cultures and living circumstances surrounding our situation, so we can be great at what we are, and other people can be so-called what they believe is great for who they are, right? You don't have to believe in another person. It's up to them to do that. It's up to you to believe in you and understand you and do what you need to do, so that when the time comes for you to lead, you have prepared yourself. You see what I mean? The game is about creating love and connection. It's not for you to become everyone else all at the same time. It's for you to be great at who you are and be connected to other people through principles of love, so that we all learn how to survive and grow and become greater. What that does is eventually, I believe, it makes because I think literally when we talk about Age of Aquarius and, like a lot of people talk about Age of Aquarius, the time where the 3D world supposedly, right, goes away and the 5D world is here. The 3D world is just people who live by their senses, which means they can be manipulated by natural things, 3D things, what I touch, taste, feel, see, and all that stuff like that. 4D are masters of time. Time is it's not a real thing. It's a mathematical thing. It's a calculation thing. How do I measure this over a period of whatever? But it does not measure what is at the moment. See? So 5D is those who consider things that are beyond. Those are intuitive people who feel, people who love, people who understand consciousness, right? It's the next level. The next level is unification. We've already gone through division. So to create more division is to be more destructive. You don't take a person who was destructive and be destructive against the destructor, because then you become who they are. Now, if you feel that's what you need to do, do what you need to do, but that means you're continuing the age of war and uncivilized behavior. So the next thing is unity and love. It doesn't mean, oh, I need to follow the white paradigm and do everything the way that the white Caucasian man has set it up. That's not what I'm talking about. Because people think that means go along to get along. That's not what I'm saying. Consciousness says what is wrong from the past, what is wrong now, and you show love and unity and creativity to bring all of the correct factors back together so that everything can move within the time it's supposed to move. That way, when the universe makes its moves and the frequencies are out there and everything is changing within the universe, like for instance, I need to give an example, right? So, the pyramids. You study enough about the pyramids, you run into information about the magnetic fields of the world. And there's two stories that I know about. One, how the rivers of water ran by where the pyramids are, water being a highly, I guess you could say, conductive material, so to speak, because the plates that came out of the pyramid could feel vibrations, right? So by feeling the vibrations, the vibrating plate going into piezoelectric pyramids with conductive material like gold around it, because remember, it was dolomite, limestone, granite. They're piezoelectric like your bone. You strike it and induces an electrical charge. So you can imagine thunder roaring, rain hitting the pyramid, vibrations from in the oceans, the rivers that ran below it, create a conductive charge within the pyramid. Now that's just proper science. That's one thing. But that was at a time when the magnetic field was strong in that area of the earth. So you could do more supernatural things because things that didn't make sense kind of happen when you're at a neutral magnetic zone. Like there's areas where the magnetic frequencies in the earth are stronger than others, but because the field moves over time, we look at that by looking at the stars, we look at the revolutions of the earth, all that different stuff, ways to track how things happen over time. There's a reason our ancient ancestors studied the stars, came up with astrology, and started watching the way the stars move because they told what age you were in. What age you were in told you what was possible based on the forces that were exerted within your atmosphere. So if you find yourself reaching that period where that magnetic field is stronger in certain places or where you are or at the time of your living, then if the people are unified, that means you're creating conductivity within nature and you're creating a strong unified conductivity within mind and frequency within the people. To me, that shows me that the people have the ability to jump to a new level of biology. Meaning, will telepathy be possible? Probably. Levitation be probable? But I think there is a hard goal that must be met for these things to happen, which is why it's so important that there's a unification of thought. Because where there's a unification of thought, things manifest. And majority wins every time. So if all of us are sitting around thinking that we have to fight and work hard, and our thought process is fight this person, fight that person, and there's one of no love, then guess what you're manifesting for your future? A future of I'm constantly combating and fighting for something. See, by raising the consciousness of the people and making people more loving and stop being so selfish, it outweighs the strength of the structure. Then when you say what the people should do, when you think it, they think it, it happens. Grassroots level. And that's what consciousness is doing. It's slowly waking the masses up. And even when the age of Aquarius is finally here, some people are tracking it by what the people are doing. But the revolutions and the way the stars are studied, by the way the ancients did it, there comes that time. You miss that time, got to revolve again. That's the consequence. Time is a consequence. The Fibonacci sequence does not show 4 because time is a mathematical consequence. Your time can come, but don't miss the boat. Same in business, right? So is love better for DNA than accuracy? Why not have both? Well, who said you can't? You can show love based on knowing you. See, again, it's a psychological thing. When you don't know who you are, you start to think you can find yourself in what other people receive. Funny, I had this conversation with my brother not too long ago. Like, for instance, remember when I grew up, there was this whole plight of the dark-skinned person. Everything dark was always ugly and nasty, and you looked in the dictionary, it said that in there, and then the people in your schools and stuff in your neighborhoods backed it up. It made it seem like dark skin, all this and all that was ugly somehow, right? It wasn't true based on history, because in your ancient African and indigenous histories, symmetry was what was beautiful. So things that were not symmetrical were ugly, and things symmetrical. So you could have big nose, big lips, big eyes. If it was symmetrical, it was beautiful. If your body shape was equal all the way up and down, it was beautiful. They looked at symmetry. So if you're one of those people who grew up being talked down to in any capacity, you didn't have the things that you saw people had on TV and in your neighborhood and in school and stuff, and you got teased for not having much, then you're going to grow up feeling like you got to fight to have more, because you don't feel like anyone will give it to you, because that's just how it is. If you felt like you were ugly when you were young, you're going to look at the things that people do where people are saying that someone's beautiful. So if it's work hard and drive the hottest car, wear the hottest clothing, put on the greatest looking wig and makeup and all that stuff, you'll chase that because you never found comfort within yourself. So you're trying to find it through the lens of someone else who gave you a different perspective of what beauty is. That's human nature. When you're a baby, you consider your environment. And if your environment tells you you're one thing, you tend to believe it and do what you can to try and change it. People who can't get depressed, get angry, become destructive, or they just kill themselves. So your DNA is what it is. It's a long library of information gathered from the environment before you. That's what your DNA is. The Akashic records, when you hear people talk about that, that's the ability to draw that info back into yourself, meaning you can remember past generations because the vibrations struck people who came before you, and those vibrations created protein structures that eventually became crystallized in the crystal that is known as DNA, with that sugar backbone, right? That crystal holding that light, that information, that energy. So you can have love and the DNA, but I guess I'm addressing this in a way where I don't know. Are you trying to say that do you want one person to be able to do all things? Like, what is that possible? Probably. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, based on what I see in the earth, it just looks like things are based on diversity, because diversity makes you learn to live and understand within the confines of being different from something else. That's a part of a growing phase. You can't say light exists unless darkness existed first, because you need something to shine into darkness. But darkness is just information waiting to be noticed. And it's only noticed when you shed light on it. You could shed light on it by pointing light right at it, striking it with the sun, knowing about something, you shed light. So darkness is not a bad thing. The darkness, the culmination of all frequencies and things, is just a saturation of pure information. It's still a type of light. It's just not light you can see within the threshold of the genetic structure you've been given. But when you shine light on it, now it is noticeable. So light and darkness have their thing, but you can't know what one thing is without the other. You can't know what Caucasian is without knowing what African is. You can't know what hot is without knowing what cold is. You have to be able to feel something to say, I want to feel this or that. It can't be a thing unto itself. We can't have everything just be darkness and say, hey, look at that thing over there, because it's like, well, that's dark like everything else is. You can't separate it. So there has to be diversity so that you can understand your difference from other things and learn how to connect, to communicate. So connection must be found within the confines of humans evolving. And you can't do that unless you create separation first. Let's make this person sound different, look different, eat different, be in a different environment. When you learn how to unify and connect that, then a different frequency travels around the world, and at the right time unifies all fields. Now all humans can elevate. So can they become a new thing where it's like, now we are all capable of all things here on Earth? So now you have unlocked the ability for you to be able to travel beyond Earth and into new locations. Perhaps that's probably the game. It's probably just like a video game. But you can't control every human being. So it shows you how we all have a job to do concerning unifying one another, getting everyone's mind. And you can't force it. Oh, these people just don't want to listen. They're worried about religion and eating and smoking and drinking. And you're talking about their vices instead of just understanding who they are as a person. When you learn who a person is as a person, you start to meet and connect with more people and understand many differences. And eventually people start to look at you because they're like, man, I never could get along with this, but you can. How come you can get along with so many people? Not because you vibrate higher, but because you vibrate broader. You have what is you, and then you have respect and understanding for those and for those other types of people. And when you all unify, you start to recognize each other's problems, each other's solutions, each other's capabilities, and you start to share them with one another. And when you do that, you create a new paradigm where people say I can leave my vice alone because everything I ever needed is within the group. But you can't get that if you're hating on one another. You're going to feel like the thing I don't have, I need to fight to get it because it's not within me. It's not a part of my genetic structure, my environment. That's why you get Caucasians stealing from Africans to make a cold climate work like a hot one. See, you feel like things are going to always go away. Someone's always against you. You need to fight and take because it'll never be there all the time. There's not enough for everyone to get. There's not enough to go around. You always make excuses for war because that's where your mind is. So until your mind is one of unification, you can't have things that unified people can have because you'll destroy it. Right? I hope all this makes sense, right? People who are near the closest to quote unquote man through genetics, can they not have the love of many varieties and still create the original? I guess I'm not understanding that. I guess I would have to hear you say it in person so I can like pick it up straight, right? What about the point of singularity when light and darkness exist in the same place? That is reality as we know it. Well, you're talking about the yin-yang principle. When you say they exist in the same place, well, then you would have to be trying to say that they both occupy the same space within time. That's not scientifically sound. Is it impossible? I don't know. But two things don't occupy the same space at the same time. So if you have darkness and light colliding, you're talking about the ability for them both to work together, the point of what we call singularity, the duality, right? So once you have that, you're talking about what I'm talking about right now, humans should have. The culmination of things coming together, fully conscious and aware and loving of one another. Not love by word and by principle. Love just by pure heart. It's literally the message of the Bible for those who have read it. It says, I'm looking at the heart of a man, not like the Pharisees and those who talk about laws and scribes. Those are the people who y'all talk to who say, yeah, if we don't have laws, then man will return to the jungle-like state and they'll eat and savage each other and stuff like that. You're only going to hear that from a person who doesn't believe a human is capable of loving one to another. They believe it's going to always be war, it's going to always be poor, it's going to always be that. And if you sell that to the people and the people believe it, and you create an infrastructure that makes it look like that, well, consciously, you just develop the people to be in a war state all the time. It's all about me. Those people you're worried about, you make a lot of money and you don't want to give none to nobody because you think it'll make that person lazy and not want to work. You're not looking at yourself as, I'm the one with all the light, the one with all the money, the one with all the resources. And my blessing, my power is the fact that I can give them the ability to be as lazy as they want because that's what they want. You have much because your enjoyment of life is the ability to get those things. Their enjoyment of life is the ability to just exist, I guess. But that's not up to you to give a damn about. You wanted to work, hopefully. In today's world, you get forced to work. And then when you make money, you're like, I'm working so that I don't have to work no more. That's backwards. You give everybody in the world everything. And this is my belief. Give everybody in the world everything. People get bored and start looking for ways to be around one another. That's my perspective. In today's world, that's going to make you say, no, it can't be like that. People won't be like that. But again, you're living in a conditioned world. In today's conditioned world, you saying that is true. The world that I see in my head is, what is man like from originality when he has everything? He looks for something to do. Hence what scientists do all the time. Hey, when this bangs into that, it does that. I wonder what happens if we bang it into that. And they're willing to risk life, limb, and death and everything to see what the response of things in nature are. They're doing this. Little kids do it. They're going to, if you don't watch a little kid, they'll walk up 12 steps. They'll be 2 years old, walk up a bunch of steps and try and jump down all of them and break their damn neck. You're the one who has to come in and say, one step at a time. See, you can jump off one step, get strong enough to jump off 2, then 4, then 6, then 8, and so on and so forth. Right? Progression. I'm not worried about capability. If you're asking about capability within humans, capability within the environment, there is much capability to be had to the point we can think about it, right? Because there's the known, the unknown, and the unknowable, right? There's always that little bit you'll never actually know, but the things that really count can be known and unknown. How does sun gazing come into all of this? You're going to sun gaze. You want to prep your eyes for that. You're supposed to watch the sun rise. When you watch the sun rise, you're walking through the different levels of the color spectrum. Because remember, I know in the morning, most of the time you'll see red. At night, you'll see even some ultraviolet as the sun goes down. So it's almost like you're watching it walk through the ultraviolet, through the electromagnetic spectrum. red, yellow, white. The moment you have enough brightness, you start to see green and blue within the atmosphere. Then it starts to dive back down again. Now you start to see yellow, orange, red, ultraviolet, dark again. So you get all the colors in the color spectrum watching it. So your eyes have a threshold. It's a sense that your body has that has a threshold like everything else. But it must receive light to work. Learned this a while ago. Stand in a dark cave for 2 hours. It'll hurt when you walk out in the light. A lot of us know that. If you ever go from a really dark candlelit room out into the sunlight, you know what it's like, how your eyes feel. You stay in a cave for, let's say, 2 days, it'll take a while. It could take a couple of hours for your sight to come back. You stay in a dark location, pitch black dark for 2 weeks, you have lost your eyes forever. Can you get it back from that point? I don't know. But the principle is you lose it forever. You lose your vision. You don't use it, you lose it. So sun gazing is a way that your body is pulling in light. It's striking the pigment centers in your eyes and creating a voltage. It's giving your body a reason to be able to see. And remember, your body works on thresholds. So if you want to be able to see in darker locations, spend most of your time in slightly darker rooms. Your eyes will become more sensitive in the rods. Because remember, it's rods and cones are for color. Rods are for seeing, it's like amplification. It's for seeing shades of gray. So one is used for low light, one is used for when there's a lot of light. So your cones, once there's a lot of light coming in, those cones light up and you can see color and everything you see like on my screen right now, right? You see everything because there's plenty of light to show it. Light goes down, less light, electrical signal. You're not getting, right? The pigment centers from the radiation is not striking because there's no light. And the less it strikes, the more your body has to amplify what little it gets. So when it gets darker, you see less color, things start to flicker. If you guys like to use your cell phone cameras in the dark, you'll notice the little specklies. Or if you use film back in the day, they call it noise. Your photos that were in dark rooms, you see the little dots that make up the photo. It's not as crispy, right? Your eyes work the same way. So sun gazing allows your body to understand the light level as it climbs up within the atmosphere. You keep your eyes healthy that way because it has to interact within the environment, and it's interacting and receiving light rays as the sun rises. You're receiving the light rays that are very key to the light path, like retinols. You're going to see that what do you call it? Those retinols, those colors within the like the flavonoid, so to speak, range. So you're getting those yellows, oranges, reds. You're in that range of light. That range of light does wonders for the eye. Infrared light, retinol colored lights, and carrots and, you know, orange things getting your pigments when you eat your foods. You're doing that so you can fill the centers of like skin, eyes, membranes, things like that. So there's a reason for everything. So you sun gaze as the sun goes up. When the sun gets too bright, you can't start gazing at that point. You're going to hurt your eyes. In that point, when the sun's real high, you might want to gaze with your eyes closed because you guys know when light is bright, when your eyes are closed, you see red behind your eyeballs. So you get some sort of vibrations hitting the skin, but you get protection for your actual eye. All right. Yeah, bring humanity back. From what's happening right now, the ruler right now wants to block sun and create his reality. I feel the original should be in ruler. We're kind of agreeing in what we're saying. What you're doing right now, the conversation is forcing it's almost like you're asking, what direction do humans want to go? Because you have to ask yourself, if there is a man who leads right now, and it seems like he's trying to block the sun and have everything artificial and it's working, remember, it works on a pyramid. The people who have the power to run the world, make big decisions, are much higher at the top of the peak of the pyramid than the groups of people at the bottom. If you use grassroots, each one teach one, and you find a good method for it, and you start to spread the message fast enough, then the people at the top naturally start to fail. You can't be one man and a couple of people trying to take down the people at the top of the pyramid, because you're going to be stepping on all the people on the way to the top. Because those are the people who like, well, I got to go to work, and I'm trying to remain safe. They don't know what safety is based on the word. When people put that revolution thing out, people don't know where their safety will lie. That's a part of conditioning. They believe they won't be safe because we condition a world where if you take away the laws and the nooks and the hooks that keep people civilized, you're still going to have people who have not properly been psychologically brought out of their damaged selves. So then the rapists, the killers, and the people who want to steal and get all the things they never had, that's still going to exist if you try and jump the paradigm too fast. So they would always say some of our elders would say, if you want to create a revolution, then you have to wake the people up first. Otherwise, it won't work. You're trying to beat an enemy that's too great for you, because those of you who were conditioned are the ones who push the leaders up top. So if you still got too many people pushing the leaders up top, you're not going to be one of the few to knock them down. You're going to need to do some loving and connecting so that the strength in the people, like when they say, we're going to create a technology that blocks the sun. If your grassroots movement and your message of consciousness and about what's being done to the people is strong enough, and your science is sound, meaning you're knowledgeable too, then you're able to get that message even into the places where those technologies are developed, so that the people making the call who are not technological gurus, they get left to the wayside, because they're like, yo, I told you to do this. Why don't you do it? I won't pay you. Well, because I'm connected with people who will feed me, who will shelter me, who will take care of me, and they're showing me what you're doing is bad. And because I'm covered, I'm covering them. I'm not covering you anymore. Your money can't cover me if more people are against you. See what I mean? Money don't mean nothing when the people are strong. So again, time. We got to walk through that process of waking people up. It's working, but I can understand your feeling. Is it working faster than the paradigm is shifting? I get into that debate with a lot of people all the time. The conscious folks, the ones who are talking about going back to source, those are the people who say, don't worry about any of those things. You just got to go within, this, that, and the third. They don't pay no attention to what's going on in what we call this matrix. This is just an illusion, right? But again, we all come from the same source. If God is connected to everything, right, then you first have to understand that in order for God to be connected and a part of everything, then that means everything had to come from God, which means if I say this thumb drive is God, and this encompasses everything, the universe, everything in existence, then the only way you get something separate from this thing is to take from it and form the new thing, which means the original thing is still connected to it. You see what I mean? So everything. So I don't ask questions like, why did God let a thing happen? That's if I'm taking the standard Christian principle that God is separate from other things, but claiming to be everything at once. I would have to subscribe to that, and that's contradictory. So I can't do that. So when people try and use religion, that's fine. But I appreciate when people of religion understand their contradictions. It's like they want to say they believe in something, but they also want to agree that nothing contradicts. If everything is exactly true and can be proven, you don't have to believe in it anymore because it's there and it exists. So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too when it comes to that. So I'm not against religion if it gets people where they need to go. But I think that those who are of religion need to consider what landing level they're actually on. They need to be willing to admit, like, you know what? I don't know if this or that is true, but this is what I believe. And I'm not here to hurt nobody. I'm just here to worship and do things the way I do it. Now we're getting somewhere. Now that person can be them and I can be me, and we're not hurting each other. You see what I mean? It's all that other extra stuff that causes the problems. People get into more wars over what they believe in, not money and items and stuff. Carotenoids. Yeah. Could cold approach pickup be an effective way to develop the psyche of a man? I think it works differently for each person. Cold approach. Here's something that I'll tell you this. This is something I tell a lot of people. You'll get some people who wake people up by going in crowded places and talking to friends and being loud. The problem is that'll run some people away if they don't respect what it is you're saying. But I always tell people, no matter what conversation you get in with people, if the person is standing there talking to you and they hard fighting to disagree with you, the moment you open your mouth and get the words out, no matter what happens at the end of that conversation, y'all walk away mad, y'all walk away agreeing to disagree, that person is stuck considering everything you said. They'll go talking to other people, trying to make the conversation sound like you didn't understand what they were saying. They have to consider what you said. The key is get the words out there. When you get the words out there, people will have to fight with themselves over what to consider and what not to. Because at that point, the door has been knocked on. Because now there's something in their head that wasn't there, and it's messing with their reality. It's going to be painful if what you told them eventually winds up being true, but it's going to elevate them. And as people elevate, they eventually make their way to a culmination. Meaning, we get to a point where we unlock the next level of man. So, cold approach could be. Certain people require a cold approach. I notice some people that I train in the gym are like that. They want to be screamed and shouted at. all extra husky, like, come on, do it, let's go, let's go. And then some people, calm approach. Me, I take the middle ground. Every now and then I get silly, I can be like hype, but people can tell I'm doing it in fun because I want to change the pace a little bit sometimes. I don't always want to say, all right, we're going to do this, this, that, and then we're going to leave. Sometimes I want to add a little fun. People who have been around me long enough, and even if you heard me on this live stream, I have a serious habit in fun situations of talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's funny as hell. If y'all talk to Inky, Derek, Chase, anyone who was up in that gym, even Carly was around, you'll know that I spend a nice portion of my time acting silly, talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, because people love it. It makes them laugh. So whatever needs to be done, if we believe that doing evil things, like when we talk about how people, you'll hear people say, wasting our time watching TikTok and pointless stuff, and we like to have those arguments with people. Well, the reason people take the time to spend 20 seconds looking at a TikTok video and not a 3-hour health video is because they found a way to make it entertaining. Now, we agree with the whole drama, we agree with that mentally, and we also see it. That drama is what people want. If I ain't doing the drama, people don't want to listen. We're so low vibrational as a people. You're confirming that. So until you deconfirm that and start focusing on how to make the cool stuff, the stuff people should know, the science, technology, engineering, math, until you focus on making that entertaining to look at, you'll never see the opposite. We don't put the energy into making the fun stuff look cool and crazy. Video gamers do. They're pretty good at it. But we don't spend a lot of time making the stuff people need to know entertaining. We feel like they shouldn't have to be entertained. You have to. Children are, adults have to be. Because nobody wants to be sitting there flatline bored all the time. When you were younger, children, like I would say with a lot of mythology is ways to explain high sciences to children so they understand it. Because later on, they recognize the story you said as the science you teach. So you start people in on a ground level. You make it fun by giving them an entertaining ground level thought. Comedians are excellent at it. They give you truth and make you laugh. Comedians are great. But you see people are fighting against the comedians. Oh, they're so cold, and people are assuming what the comedians will do. If they talk about that, it will make people want to do this bad thing over here. But we're interjecting that. And media is not a good place to interject that kind of thought because you actually make people feel that way. And when you make people feel a certain way, it manifests. Media is huge. I've heard people say it's just a movie, right? Black Panther's coming out soon. Everyone wants to know how they're going to deal with T'Challa. Marvel's made it clear they're going to kill him off. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Because for those of you who, spoiler, if you guys want to turn away, I'm going to be talking about not the new Black Panther, but I'm going to be talking about old Black Panther, the Marvel stuff. So if you're somehow not caught up on that, spoiler stuff coming up. In Black Panther, Killmonger, which was Michael B. Jordan, no father. From America, raised by a white military guy. Military-minded. He knows his history. He knows my people have been suffering and stuff like that. So he has that American mindset, but he has a white guy as his mentor. War-based white guy. So he wants to come back and go to war, use the technology of his people from Wakanda to go to war with the rest of the world to get the power back in Wakanda. So he wants to be war machine-like. He wants to be the warmonger, right? And he wants to be destructive to get the power back to his people. That's his perspective. But he has no father, no mother either, right? They exist, but they're dead, right? T'Challa, king of Wakanda, well-to-do, rich, takes care of the, tribe. He's Black Panther. He's all these good things, right? Father's dead. Mother's there. Father's dead. There's two with no father. Now, T'Challa, the Black Panther, the one who is Black Panther. Black Panther is a mantle, right? The comic book is actually about the life of T'Challa. Black Panther is the mantle that is worn by Wakanda. Okay, so T'Challa goes through different stages in life. But with that being said, T'Challa, you think he died when he loses to Killmonger in the movie, right? Everyone thinks he's dead. He returns. Then the snap happens in Infinity War. T'Challa gets snapped away. 2 deaths. Marvel says because Chadwick Boseman died, that the fictional character is going to be killed off. That's 2 deaths. So The man who played so Black Panther already died twice. The man who played Black Panther unfortunately died, and now they're going to kill off the character who had no family. And I have not done this yet, but I'm going to create a live stream for y'all where I'm going to show y'all that the continuance of how Black people are portrayed in media continues. We don't get full families. We get killed the worst. And mind you, this is true like 90% of the time. You're going to always find situations where it's like, oh man, they got it right. And when you find the areas where they got it right, it makes you feel so good. That's just true. Y'all go see Thor Love and Thunder and look at the black kid in that movie. See what I'm talking about. We always get, and it's funny because I was even looking at this new one too. Our powers are always technology based. Most of the white characters get superhuman powers. Am I wrong? Cyborg in DC, that's technology. His dad decided to utilize him for technology so he wouldn't die, right? Technological. Black Panther, we got adamantium. We have a really smart sister next to T'Challa who developed this nice suit. It's technology. Take the technology away, I ain't shit. And I'm not going to say you're not shit. You're not this force that's going out to fight in Infinity War. We'll say that. Blade is a vampire, but he has no family. Who else is tech? War Machine. You got Iron Man. Okay, that's tech too, right? But War Machine is tech. Falcon. In the comic books, Falcon is friends with the real life Falcon. In today's world, it's a technological Falcon. And his fighting skills are trash. So it's all technology. Damn, who else can I name? I don't know the story of Black Lightning. I can't give you that one, but I know Black Lightning is there. Who else can I name? Oh, there was an absolute shit movie that y'all could see it just to see how annoyed I was. Damn it, what is it called? It's a movie where a little kid, they released this movie and they were like, this is going to be the first black child superhero, right? That's what it was supposed to be. I saw that movie and I swear to this day, it's almost like they tried to turn the volume down on that joint and drown it out because I think people realized what happened. They hyped all this up about him being the first superhero. He was a kid who was getting teased. He was very good. He had a white teacher who was recognizing he was very bright, very good at engineering. He learned how to engineer something into his arm where he could move things with his arm. It was all technology, but they called it black superhero, first black new independent superhero kind of thing. And then that movie just flew off into the night. I didn't hear much from it anymore. I can't remember the name of it though. Black female characters have powers, right, Davida? But you know, like I know, look what they did to them. They always shit out on the power. Storm. What happens to a frog when it's struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else. Strikes a piece of lightning. Now take her and look at Thor showing up in Infinity War and in Endgame. My man gets the axe. John floats off the ground. It's electricity hitting him. He come in with the skies cracking. Runs mad as hell. Jumps in the air. Turns everything dark. Starts striking it. I mean, they literally, it's almost like they said, Storm can have $300 special effects. Thor, $3 million. Catwoman. Everyone knows Catwoman with Halle Berry was trash. Roll out. And I always admit, Davita's in the chat, she'll tell you, I always admit that I think in WandaVision, the Disney special that they did for Scarlet, the character Scarlet, like the actual Marvel character, they have what is known as Spectrum. She got different names, but the black woman in that show, she so far, to me, they haven't fleshed everything out yet. We don't know the extent of her power, but the way they introduced it was good. They're getting off to a great start when it comes to that. So that's good. Monica Rambeau. Yeah, Monica Rambeau. It's not that the black female characters don't have powers, which is why that's such a separate subject for me, because when I try and put together a stream for you guys, I'm going to show you how black people in general get treated in media and in movies. Then you can separate what they do to the males to what they do with the women. I love the fact that they're giving the women power, But instead of doing it right, they're forcing it and getting it wrong most of the time. I don't care if it's white or black. They force the powers in there, and then it turns out like shit. It's like, y'all, did y'all care to like make her look like she could like really tear some shit up? Like, can my heart beat a little bit when they use their power? So that's my issue with that. Hancock, you already know what it is. That's a moral dilemma right there. And again, so he can have a family, but white woman, right? As the further they get together, shit gets destructive, but they get further apart, it don't. So it's like the curse of love. But that's another part of me wanting to put that stream together. And don't get me wrong, he who wields the power over the system will always push towards themselves. Because obviously, if we own the system and everything was blackety black, we would have someone complaining at us like, you never treat us good in the show. I get it. I'm just saying what exists. I'm just mentioning it so you know it. We don't get families like that, and when we do, the dark-skinned people are always with white people, and there's always a biracial child. If you get neither of those, we become the representative for LGBTQ, and it's always like when they do our representation for LGBTQ, it's always only that person when it's the black representation. Eternals, if you saw that movie, right? That's your total representation. You don't get the split down most of the time. Like in a white one, you can have people who are representing LGBTQ, people who are powerful using technology, people who are powerful not. You get the whole slew. They get families, no families. They get really well told stories. Like there are some where it's like, we don't get the best story, but it's a decent story. Spawn, he has his whole family. You got him. He's a fireman. It's him, his wife, his daughter. Has a whole family. Gets into it. I think it's an issue where he gets burned up. Fire joint, but hell offers him an opportunity to stay alive, but he's got to carry out the will of hell. But he decides to rebel against it. He watches over his black family members while doing it. So that is a case where it's like, okay, not the perfect situation, but plausible. Black Panther, plausible movie, but stereotypes mostly remain. And they're about to double down on it because now they're using the mantle of Black Panther to pit relation issues between black men and black women. Because for some reason, instead of people seeing that Shuri can be great as Black Panther, T'Challa can be great as king over the country while she runs out using her knowledge, technology, and powers, and them being able to beef up all the craziness they can do having her fight while he's back going through the mental challenges of leading a country. They can both be great. But no, chuck the black guy, kill him off. He didn't have a family when he was in there. He was about to get married. He had a woman that he had an interest in, but now he's gone. T'Challa's gone, and that's the backbone of the damn Black Panther story. Shuri is there. Nothing wrong with Shuri becoming Black Panther. That happens in the comics. That's perfectly fine. Just make sure y'all do it right. You know, I'm worried about if they make Shuri be there, are they going to do it right, or are they going to make her powers look kind of weak? So that's what I'm worried about with her. The T'Challa part is totally separate. T'Challa should be in it. Shuri should be Black Panther. T'Challa should be learning what it's like to be a king and looking after a country and getting married to his bride and developing a family, while Shuri is out there using that technological mind and skills she may be developing to be Black Panther and go out into the world. So they both should be able to be great. But now people think when we say recast T'Challa, people think that that means T'Challa should continue to be Black Panther. The mantle of Black Panther and T'Challa are two different things. You can have anybody have the mask on mantle of Black Panther and still have T'Challa doing what T'Challa does. So you don't have to create this argument, and people are still creating a false argument there because no one's saying that T'Challa should be in it so that Shuri can't be Black Panther. But that's the argument that came in because no one's describing what my homie E-Man's movie reviews, his channel, was describing. He's trying to tell people you're looking at it the wrong way. It's all about black representation. Let the woman and the man be great. Don't create a situation where we're pitting one against the other. And by taking T'Challa out, and from what I'm hearing based on rumors, there might be a child involved, which means if there's a child that T'Challa left behind and the mother, you now have a fatherless child. You're re-representing that stereotype that was T'Challa and Killmonger. You see what I mean? This is the dilemma. We don't have a representation. That's why Bill Cosby show was so popular back then. They like, oh man, they were so well to do. They showed that we didn't have to be stereotypes. And then what happened? Now Bill Cosby's in jail and they like, don't play a show no more. He's the pudding, whatever, right? He's all that. So now we lost that. I still had like, I love Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I love Family Matters, but everyone's standard at that time for best black family to look up to was The Cosby Show. But that got chucked, because he did his thing, right? Back then he did his thing, and then, I don't know, whatever, right? But either way, that happened. So that's gone. And it's not about whose fault it is. He did his thing. It is what it is. Whether people believe it or not, that's the situation on the table. And because that situation's on the table, credibility is gone. So even if you were able to prove like, oh man, he shouldn't be in jail because of this, that, and the third, they were all doing it back then. We're not arguing to justify people doing stupid shit to women. We're not going through that. So that's just a stupid argument to be had, whether you think he's guilty or not, or if there was statute of limitations. Regardless of all that, he was in that clique. So it is what it is, right? Whether he did it or not, he was dealing them things. He was doing his thing. He got involved. So unfortunately, we're at this point where if you prove him good or bad, he's been tainted. Bulletproof black guy. His interest, you're talking about Luke Cage, and his love interest was Jessica Jones. He had the black cop woman, which I'm forgetting her name in the show, but he had her. That was the one he would get coffee with, right? Excellent show, but he's a bulletproof black guy. Stereotype. And his hidden love interest, the one that keeps getting away but he keeps coming back to, is Jessica Jones, who's white. So does that have anything to do with his acting ability and him being cool? No, I'm talking about broad representation. What you continue to see is what you're gonna think as a child. Children watching these things growing up, you start to think you're unworthy of having anything that's just you. Because in white stuff, you can have white families. That was Iron Man all the way. That was Thor all the way. They didn't make Thor fall in love with a black woman. They made Thor fall in love with a white woman. They made Iron Man be with a white woman. They made Captain America be with a white woman. They made whatchamacallit, with the bow and arrow. Family, white, whole family. Hulk, love interest. Whatchamacallit, who died. Forgot her name. Too much going through my head at one time, but she died. Love interest, white on white. Doctor Strange, even though he couldn't be with the woman he wanted to be with, love interest was white. There's no competing black force. No one being forced into it, right? Superman, The Flash, Green Hornet, even though Green Hornet, I think, last was Asian. You can name them up. It's just too many options. If you're Caucasian, you can find something for everything. When you're black, you keep getting the same thing shoved down your throat, which is you as a dark-skinned person are not good enough to have all of it. So what do you get left with? Us arguing that we need to create our own. But creating our own is fine, but every group creates its own. But at some point, we got to recognize each other's cultures. It's like if you're going to have black people as your means to make money as Marvel or Disney or anybody, by proxy, we have the right to scream and say, we are the supporting cast of that. So you should, to some extent, be looking at what we're saying. RTP in the building, True Fist of the North Star, I see you. Bit silly, I ain't give you a shout out, but you throwing some stuff out there in the chat. But yes, if I'm wrong, feel free to write it in the chat. Say, hey, I've been looking at TV for years and there's equal representation all across the board. I'm an artist. I grew up looking at art. I can see things a little different than the average person. I know what dark-skinned people went through, but I also grew up seeing the opposite. So that's how it was easier for me to see what was going on. So we know that they used to choose the unattractive dark-skinned women to be on TV next to white people because they were threatened by that. The really good-looking black men wouldn't get certain positions at jobs because they would think that he would sweep up all the white women. Like, it was the racism reasons were everywhere. Like, it was just crazy. So, like I said, if I'm telling the truth and y'all see what I see when y'all start looking at everything, you tell me. Because again, it's like the great-looking black women get with good-looking white men in the movies. The dark-skinned black men get with the white women in the movies. You just barely ever get good-looking dark-skinned, good-looking dark-skinned, good-looking dark-skinned child. You don't get the three. And if you do, name all of them. You might start naming stuff produced by black people who were private, who did personal things, right? You'll get it there, but that's not worldwide. That's not what's being sold to the masses that creates your average argument and beef when you go out in the world. It's the mass media that does that, the big theaters that do those things. And that's why it's a really big deal. But like I said, it could be I could do live stream for a minute talking about that stuff. Pictures, and if we had the ability to play sound and music all the time, I would run, I mean, it'd be a whole damn, you have a whole bookshelf case, right? Jordan Peele, okay, right? So another case of doing a decent job for the type of movie it was. Davida, you're in the chat. What's the joint he had with Lupita Nyong'o, with the family, and it was another version of the same family. That was a family. They made the male look like a punk ass, but nonetheless, well done movie, right? That he had to throw that little jab in there, make him like, Lupita was like strong black woman, sit your ass down black man. They had to play that card, right? They couldn't just be two respectable, strong people with strong points of view. He had to kind of cower, right? So again, combative, but that doesn't take away from the fact he did a good movie. Us, the movie was called Us. Like I said, we don't take away the fact he made a good movie, but they threw that jab in there and made the man like a comedic ass, like he had no authority in his own household. They had to throw that jab out there, right? Like when she yelled at him, like, you don't get to make, like, chumped. They had to throw that jab in there. But still, nonetheless, good movie. So I'm just saying, we notice these things. We amplify, even if these things are real and they happen, they get amplified on the fact that we're already at a deficit concerning representation. So we're not so quick to want to see just the negative sides. Don't fix the problem between men and women by only making it a problem between black men and black women. That'll piss me off real quick. Because we know in reality, if you're in your communities well enough, I dare to say there is definitely not more bad than there is good. Because if you count how many black people there are in the world and you count the amount of crimes happening, the shit don't equal up. Which means the other people are fighting or doing something right. You just don't hear a lot about them. Question relates to the artificial cloning. Does the boar hurts the pink pig's existence? Oh, I see what you're saying. Does the boar hurt the pink pig existent? Does the domesticated dog hurt the gray wolf existence? It might, but you have to have faith in the way the earth knows how to do what it needs to do. You start tearing apart a certain species, the earth has a tendency to know how to, like, there's forces at play that we don't all totally understand. But when one thing starts to go downhill, the earth kind of finds a way to build it back up. Like, for instance, there are certain healing herbs that could be cultivated here for us for certain things, but they can be, by law, they can be, restricted. You can't have it here, you can't have it there, you can only have it in these places, and you're not there, and it's hard to get there, right? So because there are those kinds of restrictions, you'll find that what seems to be the most impossible things to heal from, there's some herb growing somewhere in a remote location that somehow does the job. It could grow where you are, but someone's artificially fighting with chemicals and things to make it not happen. You get too many, mice in your house, it's going to draw a bunch of cats. But if you get too many cats and you open up your home enough or put enough cats around the area, then the predator of the cat will start to show up. So there's always something coming in to balance it out. But when there's too much of an abundance of one thing, there's going to become an abundance of the predator. Then there comes an abundance of the next predator and the next predator until you get this circle going until there's eventually what I talked about earlier, diversity again. When there's enough diversity, things keep checking things. That's what it is. So when we artificially do things, we create an imbalance. And in science, they try to find a way to create an imbalance that they can balance back out on their own. The problem is they use synthetics. And when you use synthetics, not at 100% capacity, because remember they say there's no 100% chance any medication or thing will work on any one human. When you have that imbalance, you're leaving a little room for nature to kind of slowly fall away in that area. And eventually, years later, there's some new problem on Earth. You think it came out of nowhere, when really it's just a manifestation of something that started years ago. Treat it like how you age. You're not getting sick and terrible and doing worse at life because you're getting older. You're getting sick and terrible and feeling bad as you get older in life because of the things you spent a long time doing. Example, the people in your family that says, I've been eating beef and chicken for all these years and nothing ever went wrong. Now I'm sick. It can't be that. And I'm like, repeat what you just said again, except this time, call it the problem. You've been eating the meat and the crazy shit for so many years and it never happened until now. See, it's time. I don't spend most of my time studying how everything in the world turns. I take an interest in it and study the things that count at the time that I needed to count. But I naturally have a trust in the Earth's ability to know how to balance things over time. The further, it's like a rubber band, the further you pull away from the natural paradigm, you're creating tension that's harder to maintain. You run into a world where it's like, you'll get a world one day where they're like, if that thing shuts off, the whole world climate goes to hell. When you first start doing science, it's not that deep. It's like you keep fucking with that electricity, you're going to burn your damn hand off. Then it gets stronger. Yo, you mess with that thing over there, it'll fry your ass to death. You'll be dead. Now you don't have a missing finger, you have a missing body. Then eventually it became, yo, you fuck with that over there, you're going to blow the city up. Yo, if you bomb that over there, you're going to destroy this and destabilize that. Now you're at the point where it's like, you fuck with that over there, you're going to cause sudden earthquakes and tornadoes across the world. Eventually it's going to become, we have it all stabilized. But if you turn that off, the whole fucking earth will go into shambles. And for the further that tension gets, the more years needed to bring everything back into equilibrium. The earth is going to take its time. So, smack somebody in the face, heals over 2 days. Blow a whole city up, it might take 10 years to rebuild it. You nuke an entire city, 100,000 years or more. So nuke the whole goddamn earth. You might need a few million generations before anything is able to properly thrive. Otherwise, a new species that probably can handle nuclear fallout will develop. But one way or another, you're going to suffer in time. So it's all about the balance of everything. All right, peoples. I got some other things I need to do. I have rambled enough. I did enjoy this, though. Thanks for the questions. Those of you who threw the questions, I like that. Hopefully everything I said back kind of made somewhat of sense. Obviously, we can't hit the whole round table unless we do different live streams for different subjects, which, as y'all noticed, that I'll create a subject, but I don't mind sidebarring. It makes it more fun to do things in stride. But, yeah, unless we do like multiple live streams where I talk about just this one thing, I'm probably not popular enough to know what that's like yet, because some of these really big YouTube channels, when people ask them questions, they be like, we got to stick to the subject, because they got like millions of people in the room who came to hear that subject, and you can't really sidebar as much as you could before. So let's enjoy our time while we have it, right? Where we could sidebar and talk all kinds of stuff, because if I hit that point where it really blows up, we might get stuck with having to stick to subjects hardcore, or it's going to make people mad. And that's okay. That's the part of growing, right? But then at that point, it'll be more critical for you guys. Like I say, let me do my due diligence since we're near the end. The live chat is not where you're going to put your questions when the live stream ends. You're going to put your questions in the comments section after the live stream ends, because I always get those and it gives me an idea of what I'm going to talk about in the next live stream. So that's how you do that. If you haven't done so yet, hit the X button on the chat, which is going to cause the thumbs up button to show up. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, because if not, then if you like the stream, it doesn't travel very far. Like YouTube thinks the algorithm's too low, people aren't interested. Even if you stayed, they're going to think you're not interested enough and it won't spread it to too many people. So that's why we hit the like button. If you just came in for the first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Again, you can hit that well, obviously I can't see it on my own page, but yeah, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the channel, because that adds to the stack. And I'm one of those people, I don't care what everybody else say, I would love to be one of those people over 1,000 subscribers who can actually get ad dollars for their page. Why? Because it allows me to be more creative, and for those who don't want to keep throwing stuff in the Cash App all the time, it takes the burden off of you. Yeah, it gets annoying to look at the ads every now and then. You can just skip them, or you can watch them to support the channel. But it takes the burden of the money part off of the people following the stream, and it allows people who just want to give to do it, and those who can't, they just relax, hang out in the room and do whatever, because they can watch the ads or whatever and help bring money to the page. That helps me grow. That will help me do more things. Like, everyone knows I'm a photographer and I'm a video person, so y'all know I'm gonna go get the photos and I'm gonna bring them back, and I'll be able to travel and see more people and do different things. So it just opens up a wider range of possibilities of things to do with the gear and the talent and stuff that I have, without being on the burden of a schedule, having to constantly go to work and raise money to pay off student loans and all that stuff like that. Y'all understand, because you know, everyone has to go through what they got to go through. You understand? So, yeah, comments, like button, subscribe button. Follow me on Marvin Health and Arts, which is the same name as this page here, but follow it on Instagram. Because if anything happens to the channel for whatever reason here on YouTube, Instagram is where you'll find, where I'll be able to still communicate with you guys. You can go live over there. It's not the same, but at least you'll have a way of being able to connect. You won't feel disconnected from the community. Last but not least, again, Inky's American Healer is going to be on his Patreon. It's still on the screen right now. It's right now the preview for it. He's got about 3.5 hours worth of content there that he just put up a few days ago. It's $40 a month to see that content, so grab up. Remember, if you can't afford it, you don't have to keep stringing $40, $40, $40. In some cases, I can't always do that, so I'll just shut down and come back later on whenever I can. I'll just keep jumping in wherever I can jump in. You do what you got to do, right? And I believe he's looking to release the full American Healer documentary by August 1st, where all of the fluff and the extra stuff will be there for you. Okay? So I want to thank you guys. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all for coming out. Have I got a comment, a convo on hormones? Of course I can. Yeah, put that in the chat after the live stream's over so I get the hit and it reminds me to kind of check into that and talk about that on the next one. Or you could just show up in the live stream, and when I say if y'all got any questions, just throw it out there. But right now, I got to make moves. Your boy got some editing, some events coming up, and things that I got to finish out before the weekend so that I can continue to have my free time when I have it. So love y'all. Thanks for coming out. I will see you guys in the next live stream where you can get to the chat.